Right, my friends, we're going to do a user comment on a very important video I'm seeing a lot about with emails and comments. And this is on eating before the mealtime and cravings. Angela says, I ate 4 hours before my mealtime and realized I was so hungry I could not stand it. I broke down, I pigged out. I did this several times. I have found that eating in the morning is what generally causes this. Can you explain this? These are mad cravings, wicked mad. Here's why this happens, and these are the worst cravings anywhere. You would rather be starving a month because you'll adapt better than dealing with a morning craving. Here's the thing. Your body has two waves of insulin. You have first wave and you have second wave. First wave is within 3 hours of your meal. So if you've trained your body to eat at 2 p.m., you start making first wave insulin about 3.5 hours before that. Second wave insulin is about 30 to 45 minutes after you've eaten your meal. Your body starts making second wave insulin, which is slow acting insulin, basically. This is why diabetic type 1s who don't make any insulin have to have long acting and fast and slow acting insulin, because the second wave is designed to not let you fall too fast. We take this completely for granted, those of us who have very strong pancreatic responses, because your body does this automatically. You keep in the center. You have your first wave of insulin. You get hungrier and hungrier, and normal people, you'll notice, get hangry if they don't get their meals because they're used to eating 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times a day, and their body's got a normal routine going. Well, then something happens and they have a crisis at work or a family, and they go hungry one day. They become unfunctional. Their blood sugar dips, and they have all that first wave insulin that's ready to go. So what does the body have to do? It cycles it. But in that it cycles it, it makes you mad freaking hungry because you have insulin circulating and no food. Well, what does your liver have to do? It has to make glucagon to pop up the blood sugar, which is where the fat burning starts. Now, if you've trained yourself, again, going with this analogy, to eat at 2 p.m., and you ate at 9 a.m., then your body had to preempt that insulin. It had to make it all and throw it out right there. Fine, right? Well, the problem is now when it comes to your normal time to eat, your body's trained response is going to be to keep making insulin, just like you were going to eat at 2 p.m. It doesn't know, even if you ate early, it doesn't know that you're not going to eat later. So it starts to follow the pattern and start making first wave insulin. So what happens? You ate early, your body had to make a whole bunch of insulin without a second wave prepared. So now your sugar's going to go down and it's going to tank, and it's going to be like you didn't even eat again, especially if it was a carby meal. You ate something like me, peanut butter and honey. I love it. But if I eat it, it has an effect on my blood sugar. It knocks it down really fast. My body steps back in, and boom, it knocks it down. And then I start feeling worse than if I hadn't ate. I feel low blood sugar. It's one of the only things that does it for me. I have great blood sugar control. But some of you don't, and you may not notice this, but most people will notice there are certain foods that trigger you to have a less positive reaction. You feel like you're not eating. So if you eat before the mealtime, and there's a reason this mealtime exists, folks. It's not something I made up on the fly. If you set a time and you say, I cannot eat before 2 or 5 or whatever your time is, your body's going to learn that. And if you haven't been fasting, you have the opportunity to struggle through and set it. But once you set it, it's very hard, especially if you're going to go earlier. That's why people who eat in the morning report awful cravings. Because if you have the day, your body has to make or will make more insulin based on your activity, based on your lack of activity, based on if you eat anything else, chewing motions, you taste anything, you sip or sample or snack, all of that starts releasing insulin, and then you end up feeling like you haven't eaten at all, and you feel far worse than you could ever possibly feel. So you see the trouble. First wave and second wave. Second wave is what stabilizes you. That's what enables you not to crash. And if you're type 1 diabetic, you crash throughout the day because you don't have insulin of your own. And that's why you have all these diabetics trying to take their own. So what do you do if you've done that? You said, hey, I'll be fine. Instead of eating at 2, I'm going to eat at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. And then all of a sudden these maddening cravings come over you. You want to eat the ass end out of a dead rhino.
I'm so hungry I could eat the ass end out of a dead rhino. I should have had you get me 3 of these things.
You're like, I could eat anything right now. I would kill to just start over. And what do? You either choose to tough through, in which case you don't notice a weight loss because you have all that circulating insulin, and you end up realizing that despite all that starving, you didn't lose anything the next day. You didn't feel like you didn't even lose water weight, because your body, it's penance, if you will, for your body that insulin surge you got. Your body had to cycle it out and get rid of it. But if, on the other hand, you decide to stop and you decide to carb cycle, just fill yourself up again and start over, now you're going to set your weight loss back about 6 days, 7 days, maybe about a full week. Even if you feel like you're going to be thinner later, like sometimes you tank up on carbs and you feel like you're thinner, you're probably not going to see any benefit. You're probably going to see the next 4 or 5 days you won't lose anything. Well, the reason for that is the same. Now you're setting yourself back. And you run the risk of setting up a cycle of binging. Now that's how binging cycles start. I've known a lot of people, they thought they could handle morning eating or switching to the morning, and then they ended up on a binge cycle because they couldn't help it. They couldn't manage. And they decided, well, I'm going to just start over. I'm going to go out and have the best, most carby dinner I can find. And now I feel good again. Now I can reset. You can't do that. It's like it's a situation that is thrust upon you. It's like Billy Crystal's character in what was that movie in the 80s, City Slickers, where the tough cowboy, and he run across this cow that's having a calf, and they say, the tough cowboy says, I need you to reach in there and turn the calf around so that it comes out head first, otherwise it could die. And Billy Crystal's like, why can't I just hold the calf? And he says, because you don't know how to hold it and I can't explain it to you. So you have to reach in there and do that. And that, he ends up doing it. Well, in that situation, it's thrust upon you. You have to deal with it. So what should you do in those situations? Well, you should tough through, because there's a little payoff, because what's going to happen is after you cycle through and you get through the hunger, and it's going to be absolutely miserable all the way to the end of your day, it's not going to get better. You're finally going to realize toward the very twilight hours, you're going to get a high. It's going to be like you took some mood stabilizers. You're going to feel your body start to burn ketones because your body's had to work really hard and release glucagon to push that blood sugar back up. So as it does that, you're going to put yourself into fat burning. So basically, not only are you doing penance, you're actually paying ahead to get some better results. So yes, you're not going to notice a loss on the scale for another couple of days, but eventually you're going to kick yourself into very sustainable fat loss. Again, penance. Know your body. Know that what you eat has consequences, which is why on this channel from the beginning I have advocated smart carb eating, not low carb eating. Smart carb eating. That means anything that is not connected to a grain or a fruit is no good sugar. So you should try to minimize it, if not eliminate it. Dairy, not the best thing to have a lot of. Minimize it or eliminate it. Alcohol, I believe you should definitely eliminate it. It's just too hard to make it. You're not gonna have these insulin swings if you're consistent with your mealtime. Beware of morning eating and respect your body, your insulin waves. You have 2 waves of insulin, like we've explained. If you let your body help you, it will. But if you try to jump the gun, and if you get too worried about cravings, if you get too worried about comfort, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble. And you're going to have hard rows to hoe. But thankfully, these type of situations are preventable with just a little knowledge. All right, have a good day.